Who was Malcolm X? What did he do? Why is he famous? During his time, Malcolm X made choices that made him one of the greatest civil rights leaders of the 1950s and 1960s. Malcolm X's past was hard because of his race and his choices. Malcolm was born on May 19, 1925 in Nebraska. Malcolm was a gifted academy student, although his ambitions to become a lawyer were crushed by a teacher who, like many others at that time, were trying to keep down African Americans. As a result of his hateful teachers and his far suspicious death, he dropped out of high school. After dropping out, he went to live with his sister in Boston and avoided the mandatory World War II draft. He was later arrested in 1964 in Boston for theft. After being released from prison, he would join the Nation of Islam, known as the NOI, which he had read a lot about while in prison. After joining the NOI, he gave speeches criticizing how the whites were corrupt, violent, and unfair. Malcolm changed his last name to X, meaning he had rejected his slave name given to his family by their former slave owners. Malcolm was soon assigned to Boston, where he gave a speech to personalized African American viewers, which became a huge success. As a result, he was reassigned to Harlem, and soon he married Betty X, and later had 6 children. Malcolm increased in popularity after CBS aired Mike Wallace's exposure on NOI. After Malcolm and the NOI started to have differences, Malcolm split from the NOI in 1964, converted to the Sunni sect of the religion, and took a trip to Mecca, Saudi Arabia, where he saw people of all races worshiping together. On a trip to Africa, he saw white students helping out the sick and poor, which he began to see a new perspective on how to win the battle for civil rights. Malcolm was a principal spokesperson and had great traits too, making him an amazing leader during the civil rights movement. Sadly, he was assassinated on February 21st, 1965, by assumed to be agents of the NOI, but his actions still made an enormously big impact on the civil rights movement. In conclusion, Malcolm X was a great leader despite his poor actions in his past. He made a big impact on the civil rights movement, which would affect the MOI in a good way. During his time, Malcolm X made choices that made him one of the greatest civil rights leaders of the 1950s and 1960s.